What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. This year I got one of the greatest Christmas presents ever, the Arcade1up 4-player Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle arcade cabinet. Now this thing is awesome. It has two games on it, the original arcade version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and the sequel, Turtles in Time. Now if you're not familiar with these Arcade1up machines, they are 3/4 scale arcade cabinets, and this one accurately represents the 4-player version that we had back in the day. And if you were a kid in the 90s, you remember that Ninja Turtles were basically everywhere. They started in the comics, but they really hit it big with the TV show. Before you knew it, they were in arcades, on home consoles, in the movies, and even had a line of toys. And even with a price tag of $350, I think these things are well worth it. It's really cool to have this machine in your home, but it only weighs about 40 pounds, so you can easily move it around. And it's great to have a machine that 4 people can just walk up to and start playing. Now this little arcade machine is almost perfect, and I say almost because it's really just missing one thing, and that is a lit marquee. Well, that and more games. Now, don't get me wrong, all the artwork is flawless, but it's not illuminated, and if you know anything about arcade machines, that's one of the trademark things of an arcade, is the lit marquee. Now, unfortunately, Arcade1up does not offer a lit marquee for this Turtles cabinet, but the aftermarket has a solution. So my lit marquee solution comes from the ArcadeGameFactory.com, and it ships as one complete piece. This is really, really cool. Now, this is going to replace your marquee panel and the speaker support panel. Now, one of the cool things about the Generation 3 Arcade1up machines is that they don't have a mono speaker, they actually have dual speakers. Now, all the holes you need to mount the speakers are pre-drilled. Also, one of the cool things about this kit is this LED light bar that actually just slides into these routed grooves on the side here. And once it's installed, you can see it's going to actually clearance the speakers. So, let's take out the old panel and swap the speakers over. Now, the first place you want to start is actually on the back. Take out these 3 screws, you can have access to the logic board. Okay, now that we're inside the cabinet, go ahead and unplug your speakers. Now, that's going to be the black wire on your left. Okay, your next step is going to be to take out the 2 screws that hold the marquee in place. One on this side of the cabinet and one on the other side. Alright, now that we've removed those 2 screws, we need to pry apart the 2 sides of the cabinet because there's dowels that are actually inside this marquee that holds it in place. So to give us a little more wiggle room, let's take out this screw right here. Okay, so by removing this screw, it's going to give us a little more flexibility so that as we pry these 2 side panels out, we're not going to damage anything. Now that we have the 3 screws out, let's pry out the sides. Now I like to use my left arm to do that while I support the marquee with my right. And just like that, it comes out. Now you'll see that the wire is attached, but we unplugged it before, so all you have to do is sort of pull that through, and you're good to go. Alright, so with the stock marquee out, now we're going to remove the speaker assembly, and that consists of 4 screws per speaker, and then these 3 screws in the center here. Alright, let's set the old piece out of the way. Grab the new piece. Okay, now before reassembling with a powered screwdriver, make sure you set your torque to its lowest setting and work your way up from there. Remember, we're taking metal screws and going into wood. You don't want to strip anything out. And before you lock down any screws, make sure you have all 4 screws per speaker in the holes before you tighten them all the way down. Alright, once the speakers are installed in your new marquee, take your LED light strip and just place it inside, like this. Obviously you want to make sure that the LEDs are facing the front. Okay, now we're going to reinstall this the same way we removed it, keeping in mind that we're going to have 2 connections now, the speakers and the power for the LED. Alright, to begin the reassembly process, we want to make sure we put this 3rd screw back in, but before we do that, I like to put a little bit of blue Loctite anytime I'm going into metal threads. It just helps sort of keep that bolt in place. Now make sure you use blue Loctite and not red Loctite. That tends to be a little too aggressive. Okay, one of the great things about this reassembly is that there's no dowels on any of this, so you don't have to really spread the cabinet apart. So we're going to feed the wires through, line it up, and we're going to use the 2 screws supplied in the kit to secure it to the cabinet. And because of that skinny top board as part of the assembly, it will hang in place while you get your screws ready. Now the main thing here is to keep the marquee sort of straight, and remember you don't want to over tighten. Once again, we're taking metal screws and we're going into wood, so get the alignment just right and put these in by hand. It's not that difficult, and if you strip this out, it'll ruin the piece. Now as you tighten the screw, look down in between the gap between the new piece and the side panel. Once that gap closes, you know you've tightened it up enough. Don't go much beyond that, or like I said, you will strip it out. All right, we're almost done. We just have to make our 2 connections and then put the back panel back on the machine and see how this thing looks. Now we know about the speakers. They'll go back in the stock location. And then these stock boards actually have a place to plug in a lit marquee, but you're going to need an adapter. Luckily, one comes with the kit. Alright, this piece looks absolutely stunning, and a side-by-side comparison will reveal that they've actually removed the Nickelodeon logo and replaced it with the Konami, just like the original. And I know it's tough for my camera to pick this up, but it's really bright. Even with all the studio lights in this room, you can still see it clearly. It looks great. Now this kit's going to cost you $50 plus shipping, and in my mind, that's a great price. There's a lot of good craftsmanship here. It went together really easy. Now I think the only downside of this kit is the absence of some of those dowels that would help realign it and maybe give it a little more support, but the 2 screws really seem to hold it in there firm, so I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. Alright, that'll do it for the video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Hit like if you like the video, subscribe if you like the content. Y'all have a blessed day. I'm gonna go play some Ninja Turtles, and I will see you next time.